Well, hey guys, thought I'd do another video. And like I said, while the majority of this stuff will probably be kind of focused on chronicling my, shall we call it an adventure, of being the husband of a wife in the Army, being a military spouse, but from the husband's point of view. Um, I'm also into technology, and I've been in IT since I was like 18. Let's see, I'm 38 now, so was that like about 20 years or something? So uh, been around for a little bit, and of course, my wife and I, as you can see behind me, it's not on, but you can see her gaming PC. I want to say we both have custom built gaming PCs, and we do. Although technically, that one I was not able to build because of cost. We found a really awesome open box deal on Newegg.com for one of the ABS brand computers, Advanced Battle Stations. And I mean, the cost of that computer at the time was about, I'd say it's within $100 of what the actual graphics card in it would have cost just to buy by itself. And our old computer was at the point where, in order to upgrade the graphics card, it would need a new motherboard, new processor, new RAM. I mean, all that stuff would just need to get upgraded. And when you start looking at that, then a new case, and then of course the power supply's got some age on it. So if you're putting all new current gen AMD or Intel stuff in there, you want a new power supply. And so when you start racking up the cost, I was like, man, we're well outside the price range. Anything affordable. So thanks to Newegg, we got that. No, we're not rich. We didn't save up forever in a day either. We were able to take advantage of a payment plan through a firm, and so a little bit of interest on it, but it's not too bad. And we're not like cash heavy people. Like we're not like what you would call like wealthy. Okay, we're middle class, typical. Well, I hate to say typical because really in the Myrtle Beach, I mean, like maybe in Southeast Georgia, but out here, I feel like we're like poor middle class out here, but that's just because Myrtle Beach is expensive. Myrtle Beach is just an expensive area to live. The cost of living is kind of high out here. Um, but anyways, so we just did that payment plan with a firm. It worked out great. They're affordable. She got a new computer, and it's awesome because we can play some games together, which we both enjoy. Valheim. I'm trying to get her into a little GTA Online. It was kind of hard to get going with some of the good stuff without the money and the in-game money. And I've tried to get her to play Ark once or twice. I mean, don't get me wrong, she had several games on there, but there just doesn't seem to be a lot that her and I both play together. Just we have our own little interests. But anyway, so let's talk about 3D printing now. My Ender 3 Pro has been gathering some dust. Some of you may know what a 3D printer is. Some of you have no idea. What do you mean 3D print? What are we 3D printing? What? The save icon? So anyways, but yeah, after doing this as long as I've been in it, technology support-wise, naturally my hobby and my career has some crossover. So this is the Ender 3. The Ender 3 Pro, actually. As you can see, it's... what it is there was actually a spool of filament. There was actually a holder that would sit up here. Here we go. Yeah, so this would actually sit up here and hold the filament spool, which would be fed in, down, and around. And it would actually end up being fed in through here. So this little mechanism right here, it would feed it in into this blue tube, into here, and what it is there's a print head. There's actually a nozzle. I don't know if you can see it. We can raise this up a little bit here. Maybe if I can turn this. All right, yeah, so you can see there's a little nozzle right there. And what it is, and the reason there's fans here is because this joker will get up to about 200 degrees Celsius. I print with a filament type that's known as PLA. It's all plastic filament. And of course, this is kind of hanging out here, but that's because there is actually an LED light strip that I have attached in here. So if you're printing in the dark, you can turn that on and still see, what you're printing. I actually wired that into the power supply myself. I was quite proud of that modification. But this is an Ender 3 Pro. I recently upgraded to the VoxLab. I don't want to say, is it Aquila? I don't know. AQU to me, AQUILA to me, that's Aquila, something like that. Anyways, upgraded that because I was having some issues with the Ender. And it's also it's a very temperamental. I mean, in general, 3D printing is very much DIY, right? It's not like if you want a LaserJet printer or inkjet printer, you just run down to Staples or Office Depot, grab what you want off the shelf, you come home, maybe you have to do a little setup, like maybe you got to put the toner in or pull some tabs out so the toner can be activated, and then you put some paper in the tray. And other than that, you plug it in and turn it on, and it's good. It's ready to print. I mean, there's some issues maybe if you want to have a network printer or if you want to install the drivers on your computer, but as far as the physical hardware being ready to go and print, it's good. And once you have it connected and, more paper, occasionally more toner, like on a LaserJet, maybe once in a while, you need a new fuser or drum, but it's just the same few pieces, and it's fairly regular, as far as what needs to be replaced. And on a 3D printer, though, you get it, and you've got to actually assemble it. I don't mean you got to slide a paper tray in. When you get most 3D printers, you basically get this base, and this, by the way, this is the control panel with a knob. Some fancier ones have a touch screen, but basically you get the base, and that's it. So you get the base with this print bit on it, and in this case, this is the power supply, but this Ender 3 Pro, you have to put this on, you have to put these on, you have to install this, this rod comes with it, and that is attached, but you've got to put this whole thing on here, this bar, you've got to attach these components to it, you've got to attach that, put in your little washers and gears there for feeding the filament in, and you've got to do a lot of work on that. But the other thing too, though, about the Ender 3 Pro is that there are some upgrades on this one that on the VoxLab are actually standard. They actually come just right out of the box with some of those features because they're so popular. One is this knob here and this little knob here. What it is in this case, there's a belt on this bar and there's a belt down here. And moving that belt under tension is what moves this bed back and forth. It's what moves that print head back and forth so that it can do its deal. And these knobs just kind of allow you to tighten and loosen that belt, which has various effects on your print quality and depending on what you're doing. With the VoxLab, that comes automatically. It's on there. It's a piece that you just install. This, I actually had a friend of mine 3D print for me to actually do that, to actually put that on there and attach that for me. So there's some things like that. Also, this print bed, you can see there, it looks like there's two pieces here. This bottom metal layer initially came with this piece that, the way I would describe it is the material reminds me of, if you've ever seen one of the 5 1/4 floppy disks, like the big floppy, the floppies that were actually floppy, not the small hard plastic ones, but the little, with that big round hole in the middle. Anyways, that's kind of what it was like. It was kind of like that, and it was magnetic because it's a metal bed, and so you'd print onto that, and you could take that off, and then you could use something like this, and I still use this for the VoxLab too, but scrape your prints off, stuff like that. With the Ender 3 though, that was the standard deal, and this kind of like glass or like a carbon fiber bed kind of thing that I got, that was an extra thing, like an add-on basically that I purchased later on and swapped that out. Again, on the VoxLab, it's a standard deal. So it's little things like that that make a difference in the quality. And just the fact that it's an improvement. Basically, Creality, who makes the Ender, they sort of made their design kind of open source, and now they're starting to pay that price. What I mean by that is folks like VoxLab have been able to make their printers in a way that they're essentially copying off of them in a way. In a good way, though, for the consumer, because what they've done is made a new and improved kind of model. It's got a full color kind of, I keep calling it a touch screen. It's not a touch screen. There are some newer models, some fancier ones that are, but it's got a newer, brighter, full color screen, better interface, things like that. Really, really nice. Seems like a better quality. It seems like there's a bigger fan and a bigger shroud around the print head on the VoxLab and the Aquila there. And actually, I can show you guys what I've got so far. I haven't printed anything yet because I've been leveling the bed and getting some things, and that's the other thing too. We talk about leveling the bed. You don't just put a bubble level on it and try to get, let me get that bubble right in the middle. Leveling the bed, what you're doing is you've got the print head at a certain height, and you've got the print bed, and what you're trying to do is you're trying to get the gap between the two to be just right. Because when you 3D print, it melts down that plastic, it lays it down a layer at a time, and your layer heights are going to be less than a millimeter. You're like 2/10 or even 1/10 of a millimeter. So you don't want that print head too high off of the bed, or that filament's just gonna droop and it's not gonna stick. But anyway, so leveling it, doing some things. I bought some feeler gauges so that I have precise measurements. But basically, this is what we've got. And, bigger fan shroud. Like I said, you can see this piece here is standard, so is that all comes with it. This glass / carbon fiber / whatever it is, print bed. Also a standard thing there. Definitely a little different. Definitely, in my opinion, a better quality. And like I said, it just comes down to being several improvements that most people are already making themselves to their own Ender 3 printers, but for close to the exact same price, you're getting a printer that's got all that on there from the factory. So, yeah, I don't know. Seems worth it to me. So, I've got to get it tuned in. I think I've just about got the print bed dialed in. I've got to wash it, though. I've been told that you got to kind of do a thorough soap and water clean so that you have bed adhesion. I actually had some issues with that. I posted in a Facebook group specifically for that printer, and because I was like, man, the Ender 3, for all its flaws, as soon as I got it assembled right out of the box, I had a small packet of some test filament, and it printed out right away. That first time, there were no issues. In fact, I have a small sample filament spool here that came with the VoxLab. But, it had no problem. The first little test print was, really awesome. Which is the other thing, by the way. You may be wondering, how do you print something? How do you actually get a file? Because, if you go to thingiverse.com, you can find all kinds of 3D printed files and stuff, all kinds of designs to print. And there's some special software that lets you manipulate the design a little bit and then convert that design into an actual file type that the printer will recognize, called slicing. But basically, there's not a way to directly connect the computer to the 3D printer. And that's what I mean by it being so DIY. It's not like your LaserJet printer. Let me just plug in a USB cable and install my HP printer drivers and be good to go. It's a little bit more difficult than that. Because I said there's not a direct connection. And I don't know the VoxLab, but the thing with the Ender 3 is that basically, even though it's a USB port on the outside, technically it's like a USB to serial converter. It's just some really weird stuff. But anyway, so you've got this, right? It looks like a little typical USB thumb drive, except there's some spots in there for a micro SD card. And so what we do is we pop that in there, stick this in the computer, make the changes, edit the file, shrink it, flip it, whatever we want to do. Or design a new one. If you've got some kind of CAD software, you can make your own design. So we do something like that. This comes out, and there's actually a small port for it to go into the printer. And you can select your design. You turn it on, and there's all kinds of interesting stuff there. In fact, let's push that in. Okay. And I'll have to get some stuff going where I actually showcase this sucker printing something good a little bit later on once I get it tuned in. But that's kind of the thing, man, with 3D printing. It's sort of a cool hobby. As you can imagine, when you can design images, 3D images, and you can print them out in real time using various colors and various types of plastic, you can bet there's all sorts of different stuff you can get, right? You can just imagine the possibilities for around the house, knobs and dials for things to replace in your car or around the home or wherever. There's just all kinds of stuff. I've got a friend that's 3D printing he's getting ready to go to Emerald City Comic Con. He's working on getting the whole entire Master Chief outfit 3D printed. So like life size, like to wear. So all kinds of stuff and all kinds of possibilities. Just depends on how long you're willing to wait, because this is not a fast thing. This is not like printing something down on ink or toner on a sheet of paper. Like, this does take a while. Like hours and hours and hours. Some people like to let those things rock and roll and print something takes days and days even, or weeks. But it's all up to you and how long you want to wait, how well you've got your printer dialed in, how much filament you've got, and what you're interested in printing. And that's really it, guys. So if you've watched to the end, great, thank you. Like, subscribe down there at the bottom. I'm trying to build out this channel. Like I said in the other video, like I said in the other video, I'm not trying to monetize this. I'm not trying to, there's no Patreon to sign up for. I have no book to sell you, no podcast to subscribe to. I don't have a cool t-shirt with my face on it and a little slogan or motto. This is literally just for the likes and the subscriptions. That's all this is about. It's just to add some quality content out there to YouTube and do stuff that folks want to see. So hope you guys enjoy.